let's get to judging. Bailiff Tessa, what do you got?
Your Honor, today is case number 9 3/4, the trial of wands versus rings. Which is more powerful, Harry Potter magic or Lord of the Rings magic?
Hello, and welcome to Nerd Files. Today, we're going to be debunking Nerd Court's Harry Potter vs. Lord of the Rings. Based on J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, I will be debunking multiple false claims made during this video. Now, let's begin.
Okay, long ago, in the year 1991, a young wizard enrolled at a little school called Hogwarts, and him and his friends rode their broomsticks across 7 novels, 8 films, directly into my heart. And along the way, they invited us into a world of new, powerful, accessible magic, not the stuffy magic of old.
This is Megan, and her claims are most of what I'm going to be debunking.
In a time before aught else had been wrought from the flame imperishable, there existed Eru alone. Within his creation, Ea, the universe, lay the planet Arda, part of which would come to be known as Middle-earth.
Your Honor, we're talking about magics that can unmake the world, mar reality, and destroy souls utterly. Praise the darkness, Your Honor.
To be honest, the debate should have ended here. The first mention of the godlike beings of Tolkien's work should have been enough to win the debate for the side of Lord of the Rings. In the Ainu Lindale, the first chapter of the Silmarillion, Eru, the omnipotent deity in Ea, gives divine instructions to the Valar, and they basically sing the universe into existence. Yet the judge conveniently ignores this to allow for Harry Potter to win.
Okay, sure. We're trying to decide which is stronger, okay? Harry Potter magic or Lord of the Rings magic. So, what do you got? Magic me.
Wizards in the Harry Potter series can do a lot of things. They can turn into animals.
In Chapter 19 of the Silmarillion of Beren and Luthien, Sauron shapeshifts into a number of various animals and monsters. These forms include that of a werewolf, a vampire, and another unspecified monster, but likely incredibly dangerous. Beren and Luthien also disguise themselves as dark creatures in order to sneak into Angband. In the Silmarillion, it is also told how Sauron took the form of a fair elf in the guise of Anatar, Lord of Gifts, to fool the elves into forging the Rings of Power.
Okay.
They can speak to snakes. They can predict the future.
Like the last one, these powers are by no means limited to Harry Potter. Prophecies in Middle-earth, such as that by Glorfindel about the Witch King of Angmar and the doom of Mandos, have all come true. For example, it is foretold that the Witch King of Angmar will not be killed by a man, and in Return of the King he is killed by Éowyn, who is a woman.
Let's talk about who's your most powerful wizard in each world. What do you got?
So a lot of people would probably say Dumbledore. That's kind of a rookie.
Dumbledore.
No, don't say that.
No, I wouldn't say that.
That's a rookie. That's a rookie.
It's a rookie mistake.
Okay.
I was going to say.
So I would say the most powerful wizard is obviously Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, obviously.
Nailing it.
Duh.
Okay.
No, your first answer was correct. It has been stated and shown multiple times that through feats such as defeating Grindelwald, Dumbledore is the most powerful wizard in the wizarding world.
Because even as a baby, he defeated Voldemort.
This is also somewhat incorrect. Voldemort's defeat was more so from the magic of Lily Potter rather than Harry Potter. This both betrays ignorance of the very thing she is arguing to defend, as well as the limitations of the supposedly unblockable Killing Curse, one of the deadlier spells in Harry Potter, as well as how ineffective it would likely be if used against the likes of Sauron or Gandalf.
Baby, he defeated Voldemort. And as a teenager, he can apparate easily.
Oh, he'd get to apparating.
In Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf the Grey took on all 9 Nazgul at once.
Your Honor, I'd like to submit Exhibit A for Azkaban. Okay? At the Great Lake, Harry and his Patronus fight off hundreds.
While the Dementors don't have many weaknesses, they can't do much other than suck souls and look scary. The Nazgul, on the other hand, are far more difficult to defeat and can do far more damage. Any mildly skilled wizard can summon a Patronus to drive off many Dementors. The Nazgul, on the other hand, can only be killed by a handful of weapons, namely the swords enchanted by the Númenóreans, made specifically to fight them. Furthermore, their mere presence causes terror and panic. Boromir stated this is what caused the men of Gondor to lose their position at Osgiliath.
In Two Towers, Gandalf the White, having just returned from death, stronger, mind you, unarmed, what was it, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn at the same time?
Oh, all of them?
Your Honor, Exhibit B.
Bailiff?
It says here, how did Gandalf get his killed in the first place?
Oh, snaps! She got you. She got you.
She did not get me.
She got you.
I got you.
She got
Where
you.
was Gandalf gotten?
She got you.
No, she didn't, and I'll explain why in a minute.
How do you get his dumbass killed? After smiting the flaming Balrog of Morgoth? Anyone?
See, I never got that. I mean, how did Gandalf even fall victim to that in the first place? He does the whole "you shall not pass" thing, and then he just falls to his death. I mean, it's his own spell. He got done down by his own spell. Why don't you just add the part where, you get a couple more feet of...
Okay, nearly everything said here was wrong. They implied that Gandalf fell to his death because of his own spell, which is untrue. It is both shown in the movie and described in the book very clearly that Gandalf fell because the Balrog used its flaming whip to bring Gandalf down with him. They also ignore how impressive the feat of Gandalf killing the Balrog actually is. He did not fall to his death. In Chapter 5 of The Two Towers, Gandalf describes how he fought the Balrog as they both plunged through the abyss under Moria. Gandalf would pursue the Balrog through an underworld of sorts and all the way up to the highest peak where he would kill the demon. Both wizards and Balrogs are actually beings called Maya. Maya are the angelic servants of the Valar, so they are basically lesser gods. Balrogs were once Maya that were corrupted by the Dark Lord Melkor and turned into demonic creatures. Like the other wizards, Gandalf is a Maya in a human body, still immensely powerful. Unless you count the old and long since revived stories where Balrogs were once far weaker, Gandalf is one of 3 confirmed people to have killed one in single combat.
Let's talk about a little thing called the Deathly Hallows. Ooh. We're talking Resurrection Stone.
Resurrect.
The Resurrection Stone doesn't technically resurrect people, at least not as the user would like. Remember how I mentioned that Gandalf was one of 3 confirmed people to have killed a Balrog? The second was an elf named Glorfindel. Now, he died killing a Balrog, but he was brought back to life and served in the wars against Sauron. Gandalf and Sauron are both Maya, meaning they are actually immortal and come back to life. And so are the Ringwraiths to a lesser extent.
We're talking invisibility cloak.
Invisible.
The Rings of Power can also give invisibility to whoever wears them.
We're talking Elder Wand.
Don't know the last one.
The Elder One clearly has limits. People are constantly killing the user so that they may take it. It is fragile enough to be broken by hand at the end of the Deathly Hallows, so any skilled warrior or wizard from Middle-earth could easily destroy it.
Those 3 things, Harry Potter is basically # Master of Death.
I'm just going to bring up that Gandalf was already immortal and he doesn't need trinkets.
This is correct. Many beings of Middle-earth have actual immortality, whereas in Harry Potter it can only be given to a very limited extent.
Add the One Ring to rule them all, and that would make Gandalf the Lord of the Rings.
Okay, but Harry actually owns the Deathly Hallows?
Just like Sauron actually is the Lord of the Rings. And unlike Master of Death, which is basically just a title, the Rings of Power can actually do things. Among other powers, the rings allow for Sauron to corrupt and destroy souls, such as in the case of the Ringwraiths.
Anyway, if we can't decide using that, let's see who's your top villains. What do you got?
It took an entire army of elves and men just to delay Sauron, a necromancer, sorcerer, and illusionist extraordinaire.
While their description isn't technically wrong, Sauron isn't the most powerful villain in Middle-earth. An older and far more powerful being, known as Melkor and later as Morgoth, is the most powerful villain in Middle-earth. Sauron was, in fact, Morgoth's servant during the First Age. Even before, he was the most powerful of the Valar, able to fight all of them at once. In the first few pages of the Silmarillion, Tolkien describes how Melkor basically warped reality before it even existed. Tolkien himself stated that even in his weakest state, Morgoth could have destroyed all of Arda, but he didn't for fear of the Valar and Eru intervening in his wars in Middle-earth. Morgoth is the kind of being who could wipe out the entire wizarding world by himself.
Okay, with no due respect, Sauron got a little owie on his finger and exploded.
Again, wrong. This is a misconception spread by the Peter Jackson films. They show Isildur cutting off Sauron's fingers, along with the ring, and destroying him. In reality, it took the combination of Gil-galad and Elendil, arguably the best fighters in Middle-earth at that time, armed with enchanted weapons, to destroy Sauron's physical form, and it cost them both their lives.
In my biased opinion, I think that Harry Potter magic is more powerful because it can be controlled and also it can be taught.
Okay, let's actually look at the definition of more powerful. Powerful is described as having great power or strength. Tessa seems to be trying to argue that versatility and control seems to fit the definition better. That's like trying to argue that a rifle is, by definition, more powerful than a hydrogen bomb because it's more accurate. Middle-earth magic, on the other hand, has destroyed continents on accident, such as Beleriand in the War of Wrath, as well as creating universes.
Harry Potter magic is more powerful because a little boy defeated the most powerful wizard of all time.
Okay, for one, Voldemort is not the most powerful wizard of all time, even in the wizarding world. And secondly, wouldn't a powerful wizard being defeated on accident by a little boy just prove the opposite?
Okay. Tolkien-verse magic fades out after time. That's why the elves have to leave at the end of The Lord of the Rings. In Potterverse, magic lasts forever.
This claim is almost as inaccurate and misguided as the claim about Gandalf falling to his death because of his own spell. The elves did not leave Middle-earth because magic faded after time. The elves left Middle-earth because the Valar were calling them back to the Undying Lands. In a lot of stories, magic is like an energy of sorts that can be manipulated, and this seems to be the case in Harry Potter. However, it is not the case for Tolkien's work. In Ea, the magic is subcreation, in a way. It's in all ways supernatural, beyond human comprehension or understanding. Hey guys, thanks for watching. My sources for my evidence were J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Silmarillion. I hope you liked my analysis, and remember to like and subscribe.